morning, everyone. Selamat pagi. So we are going to present on like each developer does this, starts developing on localhost, but we are trying to talk something different where we want to say stop developing for localhost, right? So we have the talk in two sections. In the first section, we want to introduce you to VIDA, and then we'll get into the talk. So myself, Himalaya, I lead the backend engineering team.
Hi, I'm Rahul. I lead the infrastructure team at VIDA.
So what is VIDA? VIDA is a certificate authority based out of Indonesia, right? So we offer digital identity solutions, and also we help with biometric verification, which is based out of the globally recognized AI technology. So these are the different technology and functions that we want to talk about. But if you see the core thing, which is about security and privacy, right? So I would like to give you a use case. So everyone would have went and purchased a SIM card, right? So when you go and buy a SIM card, you have to physically present your proof of identity, right? So do you feel that you're trying to lose your privacy there by sharing your physical data? Yes? No? Yes? So what could be better there, right? How to improve privacy concerns there? What if a digital identity solution like VIDA can come and help you there, right? So what VIDA, the ideal solution would be, you go to the store to buy the SIM card, and then what happens? The person in the store just needs to know whether I am Himalaya or not, right? He need not know my personal details. All he has to do is just issue me a SIM card, and I need to prove I am Himalaya. That's all, right? It should be just yes or no. More than that, it shouldn't be anything. So that way, your privacy is protected. Now, once this data is shared with the vendor who is going to issue a SIM card, then next what happens? How this data is stored securely, right? So that's what we call about ensuring security and privacy, and hereby there is a need for the digital identity. So these are the different use cases that VIDA helps you. So if you feel you are one of these use cases, your product fits, then please visit VIDA's booth and try to experience our product, right? We'll get into our talk now. So, how many of you have said this? Please raise your hands. It works on my machine. Right? So, but is this always true? So, everyone love localhost, right? So how do we start with, from our university, right? From our university days, we have been doing localhost, right? We all love localhost, and that's how we have been taught to write programs, right? You start a new website, you start a new web server. Maybe in your university days, you start with a Tomcat server, right? Or you start a Node.js server. You start with the default port, localhost colon something, right? So that's how we have taught to do localhost, right?
Why do we love localhost? Right? It's just quick, right? Most of the time we just, hey, git clone, make install, make run, right? That's it, and everything works, right? So it's very difficult to get out of really liking localhost, but what okay. So dance? No. So, So localhost is an integral part of things, but the way we develop things, the way we deploy things is changing. And what we need to do is we need to adapt to these new changes so that we can have all the niceties of localhost, but also not have the complications of localhost.
Okay, now what does this say? Who says localhost is fast? Who all agree localhost is fast? What should we do to you? Can you run localhost in your production? Is it doable? No, right? So there are problems that are clearly visible that you cannot do things on your local host and expect it every time to work properly, right? So, so what makes it so difficult, right? So we all today operate with microservices, right? Is there anyone who does not work on microservice? No, right? So all of us work on microservices. So just imagine you have like 10 or 20 microservices and you want to start everything on your machine, right? Is it easy? Is it easy or not? Right? So that's very clearly a problem, right? Everything cannot be local host, right? Now, further added to this, let's say I have just 3 services, right? And out of these 3, everybody is running on the same port number. Would you sit and resolve port conflicts or not? Right? Where your goal was to just start the service and try to test something, right? But now you are dealing with port conflicts, right?
Yeah, and also on localhost, one of the major difficulties is to get your databases, caches. You know, let's say you're a data scientist. How are you going to set all of these things up on your localhost? It's just not feasible, right? And the main thing that, what we need to talk about is packaging, right? And version conflicts. All of these things are present on localhost. What we're trying to say is that, hey, moving towards containers, you remove this part of the problem and you put the problem somewhere else, obviously.
So let's take a sample system, right? So let's take a very typical HR management system you're trying to build, right? You can see already there are too many microservices attached to it, right? And each system now you need to maintain how they are going to talk to each other, how you are going to set up the initial databases, right? So it really becomes difficult when you start setting up things on your local host, right? And say you are onboarding a new developer, right, to your team, right? It could be a senior guy, it could be a junior guy. But what would happen? Just imagine asking them to set this entire system on your desktop. Is it an easy task to do? Will you be happy explaining to someone that, hey, these are the 15 things, please start one by one on your system? Right? So these things are like really practical problems that we need to solve so that we improve the developer we improve the developer experience, right? If new team members are joining your team, how fast you get them started to immediately start contributing and start solving the problems, right? As developers and engineers, we are here to solve problems, right? Not to create more problems.
Sure.
Yeah, so out of this talk, what we aim to achieve is we need to stop saying it works on my machine, but we need to start saying it works on my container, right? Now, why this statement is so true or very relevant? Can one of you chime in? So, when we say that it works on my container, all of a sudden what I have done, I have reproduced the problem, right? So if I'm able to produce it on my desktop or on my laptop, I can easily reproduce it on my production server, right? So that's the power which you get by using containers, right? And using a container orchestrator, you can say that, hey, these are the 15 things, please spin it up. The orchestrator takes care of all the abstractions, right? Like whether you need to resolve the port conflict, you need to bring up the database, you need to start the queues or whatsoever be it, right? Associated, everything is taken care of it. And all you need to do is just ensure my container works, right?
Yeah, before we get into containers, right, there are certain things you as an engineering organization need to get done, right? So a couple of the things is, one of the metrics that we are trying to, try and put in, how quickly can a new onboarded developer get their code into production? Our aim is to try and get that done in one day. We are very far away from it, but we are trying to get to that metric, right? A couple of the other metrics that we considered was the Joel test. Joel test is a couple of questions, which sort of tells you where your engineering organization is. It's got simple questions such as, hey, do you use source control? I'm guessing everyone here uses source control, right? No? Okay. Right? Can you build your artifact in one step? That's another question that the Joel test asks. It also goes into something complicated. Do you have a bug database? I'm sure many people here will be using either GitHub issues or Jira or somewhere to track all of these metrics, right? The other thing that we considered was the 12-factor app, whereby it sort of goes into the containers. It goes nicely into the containers, right? So 12-factor app has questions such as, hey, store your config in the environment, right? So that sort of builds directly into containers. It also says run your process as a single independent entity, right? That's exactly what the container does. So these are certain things that we looked at as an engineering organization, said, hey, this is what we need to move towards.
Okay, so moving further, right? Does the sentence make sense to you guys? You need to start abstracting things out, right? So the software or the code that we are writing, right? That is all we care about as developers. Now where it runs, how it runs, we should stop caring about it, right? That's the whole intent of stop developing it for localhost, right? So as engineers and as developers, we just really care about creating these abstractions, right? Once you have created the abstractions, then all of a sudden what happens? Now you stop worrying about where to run it, right? The container runs on your desktop. It can run on your production server as well, right? So the question is about understanding where to extract and how to extract. And once you have done once you have built the abstractions, then it is all about how you start running those abstractions, and you can stop bothering about where to run these abstractions, right? So now why this becomes important, right? Because we are every day connected to internet, right? Unlike previously we used to have like slow internet connections, right? So these development environments, you can start putting it on your cloud, right? So as I said, these abstractions, you need not care where it is running, right? So the development environment, you can start putting it on your cloud, and you can create similar desktop kind of environment, and you just code in your laptop and then just push it and try to run it, and it all becomes like so easy and so painless, right? You need not like care about how fast it is built and whether the builds are happening properly or not, right? All your orchestration takes care, and you can start like quickly building and then quickly deploying to different clusters. You can start doing integration tests right from your desktops, right? You need not wait for a big environment to be set up to start doing the integration test, right? With the local host, it is easy to do unit test, but you cannot really do integration tests, right? So with the moving to the cloud, you can start doing quicker integration tests, because now you have the capacity to run the end-to-end system and replicate exactly what is there in the production.
Right. And the main thing is there's a lot of tooling out there, right? The CNCF is a very large community. There's a lot of tooling out there. There's a lot of small things that you can pick up. You can configure it to do however your engineering organization decides to proceed, right? And the main point is that the community is still out there, and they contribute. You can also contribute, and it just makes the whole ecosystem so much better to work in. You can pick up any open source tool, probably get it running in a matter of seconds, and then if you have questions, you can go create a GitHub issue, talk to them on Slack. All of these things are there. So what we're trying to say is decide on what your organization wants to do, and then achieving it is just cobbling up of multiple tools, or you can write your own tools to get things done the way you want to get things done. So we encourage you to run containers. We encourage you to, figure out what exactly your organization requires, and then just go ahead and do it, because that is possible now. It wasn't a few years ago.
right? So just to add to what Rahul mentioned, right? Say for example, how many of you are Java developers here? Please raise your hand. How many of you are Java developers? No one? Okay. So let me give you a typical example, right? So the IDs that we run, they constantly keep saying that you need to upgrade your Java versions, right? But in production, it cannot be that case, right? You need to do a lot of tests before upgrading Java versions, right? But say for example, I would say that, hey, on my machine I'm running JDK 17, right? But in production, Rahul will come and crib about it.
Yeah, I probably would like to run the latest version, Java 18 latest security update.
Right? I didn't have time to upgrade it, so I will still keep running on JDK 14, right? But does it stop the development work? No, right? So I think these are the abstractions and these are the points everyone needs to start thinking about and slowly start moving away from the local host. Thank you everyone. Terima kasih banyak.
Thank you.
So we have our booth and we have our products for display, and please feel free to try out. You can scan the QR code and register for a beta tester program, right? You can test out and please collect some merchandise, try out our products, and please share your valuable feedback. It will be really helpful to us. Thank you so much.
Thank you.